When it comes to anime, there is no shortage of interesting or fascinating characters. Space cowboys, middle school thugs, magical girls, space Hitler, spirit Nazis, men reborn as Nazi witches, witches from Mercury, witches that strike, that girl who gave bread to Nanami in Jujutsu Kaisen episode 13, Shizuo and Kana from Eminence and Shadow. The list goes on and on. And by all rights, a series with a strong hook and a strong cast are undoubtedly the rare lightning in a bottle series with one-of-a-kind staying power. The kind of series that leaves people talking and discussing for years to come, and that requires the kind of depth in its character writing that so many anime try and fail to get right. And luckily, Hell's Paradise is a series that doesn't often miss. I talked about Gabimaru in my last video, check it out here if you haven't already, but Sagiri is due undoubtedly the same if not more attention. Sagiri as a character avoids most of the common traps that a number of female characters in shonen anime are unfortunately encumbered by, meaning that they are often one-note or nearly as quickly as they're introduced outshone by the men in their series. While not a trope exclusive to anime, it's refreshing to see a character with as much nuance and skill as Sagiri take to the limelight as readily as she does, and her development and weight to the story is never overlooked. She is undoubtedly cast as a major standout among the dynamic cast of characters within her show, and again, like in my last video, minor spoilers for the opening chapters of the series, but let's get into it. Sagiri begins her story as an elite beheader, an Asaemon of the Yamada clan, a powerful and high-ranking group of samurai who serve under the shogun, known for their otherworldly skill with a sword, and are trained in understanding the nuances and nature of the human body as to best and most swiftly deliver death. They're like doctors, but instead of trying to save you through complete understanding of your body, they try their best to kill you, or at least cut off your head. They are not to be trifled with and offer an imposing force of justice under command of the government. Sagiri enters as exactly that. She is powerful, fantastically so, coming to blows with Gabimaru during their early encounter, baiting him into coming to terms with his true nature and purpose so as to coerce him into beginning a mission on yet an unknown island. It's clear from Gabimaru's expression and his understanding of the threat she possesses that Sagiri is clearly of his level and not someone to take lightly. Beyond her cool demeanor and remarkable speed, her complete command of navigating his emotions points to a clear depth of understanding and emotional maturity that very few other characters can claim, clearly using his wife as a resource to remind him that life is worth fighting for, and both physically and mentally pushing back against all his claims to the contrary, making her rather unique among the cast for having this emotional capacity and intelligence. Beyond this, she's also unique in the position she holds. Being a battle shonen, it's easy to overlook the fact that Sagiri is the only female member of the Asaemon. The only other female character is coming from the ranks of the criminals they recruit. In this way, she very clearly and distinctly stands out from the other Asaemon around her, and in both her flashbacks to being a child and in her interactions with some of her counterparts, it's clear that her being one of the highest ranking swordsmen in the land only goes so far in gaining her acceptance into this world of samurai. Her own father and former head of the Yamada Asaemon clan going so far as to admonish her dreams of taking up the sword, far preferring her to serve purely as a vessel to continue the clan's line through motherhood, an opinion he's not alone in, and certainly one that would get him cancelled nowadays. Of course, this contempt only goes so far, as she does, through her own work ethic, prove that she is highly capable of wielding a sword, quickly ascending to rank 12 of the clan and living amongst her fellow beheaders. Sagiri, though, is remarkably complex. Whereas the Asaemon ideal is to hold no fear or hesitation when taking a life, Sagiri struggles with overcoming these emotions. While a stickler for the rules and quick to follow procedure to a T, oftentimes even more so than her comrades, this one attribute, her inability to feel complete comfort in killing, makes her even more unique amongst her Asaemon brethren, and in conjunction with her gender is yet another point of contention amongst them. But the interesting thing with Sagiri is that while she very clearly believes her hesitancy is wrong and sees the critiques from her fellow Asaemon as the truth, she sees one other possibility looming about her in the most unlikely of places: her charge and the most dangerous criminal of all criminals, Gabimaru. From the opening chapter, Sagiri is constantly questioning Gabimaru's character and feelings and motivations. This man, who is known as a cold-blooded killer, seemingly loves his wife completely and utterly and wants to avoid unnecessary killing whenever possible. She sees the duality of these concepts as confusing at first, in part because it's the same battle raging within herself. Killing is an honored right that must be honed and perfected to avoid unnecessary pain, but the hesitation and killing she feels causes more weight and uncertainty within her blade, creating a vicious, self-repeating cycle with seemingly no end. To further complicate things, this lesson that is being revealed to her is one that is being introduced by a criminal, mostly the shinobi, who her fellow Asaemon would never ever even give the time of day and certainly wouldn't be open for the kind of consideration to adopt their ways of thinking. In this way, this further shows that Sagiri is not only adaptable enough to perceive flaws in her own logic, but open enough to see these villains as more than just killers, and maybe can even learn something from them. This question of morality and identity really coming to fruition as she better comes to understand Gabimaru and during her encounter with Rokurota, known as the Giant of Bizen, and is one of the other criminals brought to the island. Gabimaru reconfirms that Sagiri's strength that he felt on the very first night they met was no fluke, that any weakness she may have felt on this island was not due to lack of strength or skill, going so far as to comment that she is likely the more powerful of the duo, which given Gabimaru's strength is hard to believe, but turns out to be a rather telling, self-fulfilling prophecy. The question then is, where is this strength stemming from? She clearly feels differently about killing than does her fellow Asaemon, and she intuits this as a weakness. That, however, couldn't be furthest from the truth. As Sagiri and Gabimaru battle it out with Rokurota, Genji, another Asaemon, comments on Sagiri's path as a warrior. Clearly different from the path he walks, but one that is powerful in its own unique way. You see, Sagiri's real power comes from when she accepts both sides of herself, the logical, cool, and precise attributes that make for an effective warrior, and Asaemon, as well as her emotions in response to killing and her ability to feel the weight of each life that she takes. Rather than looking at her emotions purely as a weakness, this kindness and unwillingness to deliver harm to those undeserving, despite orders, is a clear example of her humanity, something that some of her fellow Asaemon have all but surrendered in the name of duty. This fusion of hard and soft, strength and emotion, duty and deliverance is described as the middle way, a path in perfect harmony between what can be seen as two extremes of a polar spectrum. And when Sagiri taps into this nature of hers, she is nigh invincible. Her ability to ebb and flow in combat, remain stoic and refined when completing her duty, and at times be remarkably transparent in her feelings, all serve to strengthen what is already an accomplished set of skills. This concept of the middle way is explored in greater detail further in the series, and Sagiri is readily equipped to enormously benefit from its teachings, considering how primed she currently is to take advantage of it. This ultimately is what leads her to overcome this encounter with Rokurota and to fully accept that she, like Gabimaru, are more than just what society and their roles expect of them. Anyway, that's all for now on Sagiri. I hope you're all as excited as I am to see Mappa bring her to life when the anime drops. See you in the next one. Later.
You're so wondrous, want to know.